Hello internet friends, Tama here. Today I'm going to show you my Chao Garden. I've shown you my Pokemon teams, I've shown you how I plan for a Pokemon playthrough, but I am also obsessive about other virtual creatures, like Chao. I've made a little bit of content about Chao in the past before. Some of it used to be on this channel and is now on a different channel, but I really like Chao, so thought today I'd give you a little cozy tour of all of my Chao memorabilia. I have 4.5 different gardens to show you. So sit back, relax, grab a snack, chill out, have a good time. By the way, if you're enjoying this long-form unscripted content, I have more of it on my Patreon. Every month I do an unscripted video in this style and I put it up over there for my patrons to enjoy. Right now I have 2 since I started this 2 months ago. The first one, I try Pokemon fan games like Poke Rogue and Poke Wilds. And the second one, I talk about anime and manga and how I got into all that. So if you're looking for more long-form videos to keep you company, definitely check out my Patreon. It'll be linked in the pinned comment. Shadow is back! And possibly there will be new Chao stuff happening. There's been no word as to what the new Chao stuff is, but there have been rumors, and there's new artwork that shows Chao in the Sonic Generations re-release. So let's find that. He's back! Are we so excited? A picture, this one. Look, it has all of the Chao in it. Look at these Chao. So there's now speculation that there may be finally, after more than 20 years, a new Chao Garden. So as you may know, I'm a big Chao fan. But I've been a Sonic fan for a while. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the GameCube was my actual first Sonic game ever. I asked for a GameCube for Christmas one year, and I really wanted Kirby Air Ride because I had been playing that at a girl who was in my Girl Scout troop's house. So I really wanted Kirby Air Ride. But my mom got me Sonic. I had never, to my knowledge, ever mentioned Sonic to her. I didn't know anything about Sonic, but I guess she correctly guessed that it would be in my wheelhouse. So she got me Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and at first, I didn't really get it. Like, my very first impression of Sonic was not the best. So I sort of played it a little bit, didn't really get it, put it down for a while. And then when I was 13, I joined YouTube, and there was another YouTuber named Miles Evie Prower, and she used to make Chao videos. And that sort of got me really interested in the Chao Garden. Like, I was vaguely aware of it before, but then I was like, oh, I get it now. I got really into the Chao Garden when I was 13. And then I sort of have had like a few different phases of being completely obsessed with the Chao Garden. The first one was when I was 13. The second one was when I was in high school. Or maybe the one from when I was 13 basically spanned my entire middle school up through high school experience. Because I don't think I ever stopped playing the Chao Garden. I was basically playing it from when I was 13 up until like my first couple years of college. So I have a lot of Chao. I still have my original Chao Garden from when I was 13 and some old Chao to show you. I have some kind of cool Chao. I've got some difficult to get Chao. I have almost all S Chao. I'll show you what I mean. And I have a few other things to show you that I thought you might like. In honor of the possibility of there finally being another Chao Garden after so long, I almost don't want to get my hopes up because it feels impossible. Like, if it hasn't happened by now, it just never will. You can see my GameCube back there all set up neat in a drawer. Isn't that cool that I have my beautiful shelf with all of my games set up? I love it. So, where do I begin? I guess I will show you my Chao family tree. I started keeping track of breeding my Chao across memory cards and games. So I have 2 Sonic Adventure 2 Battle memory cards with 2 Chao Gardens on it, and I have 2 Sonic Adventure 1 memory cards with Chao on it. A lot of the Chao on SA1 I think are clones of the Chao on SA2 because of the way it works with the GameCube, moving Chao back and forth between games. I think it duplicates them. So there's some duplicates, and then there's some Chao that only exist on Sonic Adventure 1, and some Chao that only exist on Sonic Adventure 2. They all, I think, originated from Sonic Adventure 2, and then we would move. I say we, so I should explain. So when I was in my senior year of high school, I started living in the same town as the boy I was dating at the time, and he got into Chao through me. But our 2 memory cards, we each had our own Chao Garden, and when he would come over, he would have Chao that would interact and breed with my Chao, and then we would compete our Chao against each other in like the karate tournament and the races and stuff. Obviously, I'm no longer dating this boyfriend from over 10 years ago. But I still have the memory cards. So basically all these Chao are mine now. For a while, I kind of like drew the line between what was his and what was mine still, like mentally, and I didn't touch anything that wasn't mine, but I'm never gonna see this person again. And it's been over 10 years. So they're functionally my Chao. So that's why there's 2 save files for both SA1 and SA2, is one was mine and one was his, but now they are all mine. You could say I took the children in the separation. So everything I know about Chao, I learned on the Chao Island website. So let me pull that up. So if for some reason you've never heard of this website, this is the resource for Chao stuff on the internet. I used to go in the forums here and get even more information about it. So I think that this has been continually updated for many, many, many years. So kudos to the people who run this site. It's great. There's also a wiki, it looks like. The forums, which is where I used to get the help and support. It looks like it's still active though. Look at these posts. They're from like, this one is from last month. People are busy with the Chao still in these forums. So yeah, all of my Chao knowledge is basically from this one website and the forums and the people who would tell me stuff in the forums that at the time was not actually on the site proper. I don't know if it is now. I would have to look through like all of these articles. A lot of these were bred together like just out of headcanon, or if you don't have a completely full memory card, Chao in your garden can mate with each other and produce new eggs. So sometimes they'll just do that without intervention. And then some of them were bred deliberately for stats or different effects you can get from breeding. Before we get to the Chao Garden stuff, there's a lot I love about Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. It's one of my favorite games of all time. A lot of people are just there for the Chao stuff and that is fine, or they only like some levels in the game. Me and my ex-boyfriend together A-ranked all of the levels in the game. And what I used to do when I was in high school was I would go on YouTube and watch A-rank runs of each of the levels by YouTubers like Darkspine Sonic, who I think is still around, or Sadistic Mystic, who was a speedrunner from back in the day. And I got really into doing this, and I would record my own A-rank runs and then upload them to my secret second YouTube channel, which I don't think I've ever mentioned here before. But on this YouTube channel, I used to record myself doing these A-rank runs. I would try and get as high a score as I could and like do all of the tricks in the level that I knew of, and then I would record attempts over and over and over and over and over again on my mom's digital camera. And what I would do is I would stack up like a bunch of books in my bedroom and put my mom's digital camera on top of them, point it at my CRT TV, and thank God the refresh rate for the most part matched my little tiny CRT that I had in my bedroom. It was a TV VCR combo. It was like an 8-inch screen, and I would record my runs this way. But my mom's camera could only record clips of like 3 minutes, so in the middle of each run, I would have to pause the video, stop the recording, empty the memory card, and then pick up the run again. And of course, I don't know how much of this I can include in the video when I show you these clips, but I would match the clips to the music that I used to listen to while I played Sonic, which was all like Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, AFI, Flyleaf was another one I liked a lot, The Used, your typical high school emo playlist from that time period. I have no concept of how loud this is because I cannot hear it.
leave you alone. You better hide up in the alley, 'cause they're never gonna find you a home. And as the blood runs down the walls, you see me creeping up these halls. I made a bad motherfucking taste, it's around another go. And I say what I wanna say. Tell me I'm an angel, take this to my grave. Tell me I'm a bad man, gag me like a stray. Tell me I'm an angel, take this to my grave. Tell me I'm a bad man. Tell me I'm a bad man.
But yeah, it was this sort of thing. This horrible quality. The camera's going in and out of focus. But this is, I think, the only time I ever A-ranked this level because it was so difficult to get that rocket at the end. In these old YouTube clips, this was me at my prime, where I was like extremely polished and good at playing the game. It took a lot of practice to get to that point, and I have, since that time, decreased in skill. I'm not naturally gifted at movement in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, whereas Chaz, who I believe did not grow up with this game, he picks it up and he's like amazing at it, which is very annoying to me. He's good at everything that way. I say it's annoying, but I benefit from it. I actually got really into single segment speedruns of the treasure hunting stages thanks to Sadistic Mystic, and I would try and get my time down on Wild Canyon and Dry Lagoon. But Chaz has, once again, because he's so good at everything he does, he's destroyed all of my times in Wild Canyon. I wish I had his natural ability to be good at video games. I just have to try really hard, and he's just good at everything.
2 more left.
I've been away for a while, but I'm about to kick some butt and
1 more left.
I shall find all the lost pieces of the Master Emerald here. I'm gonna get those fools. They wanna play with my emeralds. They play with the wrong guy. That guy don't know. That's what I'm representing. Never seen a black hole spit.
It's closer.
Wild canyon fun. I gotta chase that out. Yeah, Rouge.
I found him.
So Chao, if you're not aware, grow in real time, and you have to spend like hours in your garden for them to age. And so as I have spent more time in the gardens over the years, the Chaos change, and Chao evolve twice. They get 2 evolutions, and then they reincarnate. The first evolution is like when they stop being a baby Chao, and they get the plumb bob over their head. That makes them either hero, dark, or neutral. And then their second evolution is based on their stats, and it happens gradually over time. So the first time they evolve is when a grade level gets added to that base stat, whatever type it evolves into. So it can evolve into hero, dark, and neutral, but it can also evolve into normal, swim, fly, run, power, and they will get traits based on that, as you can see here. And then the second evolution adds an additional layer to that. This is cool. They've gotten so advanced now. This is amazing. Okay, so this shows all the second evolutions. So this is the normal group of hero type Chao. It can become hero normal, which is just a very normal Chao. It can be hero normal swim, which gives it pointy things. It could be hero normal fly, which for some reason gives it round things. See what I'm saying? So there's like an additional secondary set of traits that it can get based on its second evolution that happens gradually over time. My Chao have had all kinds of different first and second evolutions over their lifespan. They've all been lots of different things, so I have a few pictures to illustrate this. So here are my hero Chao in the midst of their lifespan. So most of them have already reincarnated once here, but you can see they used to have more varied evolutions based on what I wanted them to look like, I don't know. Now most of my Chao are Chaos Chao, so they almost all look the same, which is not as interesting, I think, to show you. So I wanted to show you some pictures of what they looked like before they were all Chaos Chao, when they were all still young, like I was. Now we're all old. So there's my hero garden, my dark garden. So this is my neutral garden. And we would get pretty insane with this. So you can see in some of these that some of them have specific gems on their stomachs, which are what you earn from winning races. Or it's part of what you earn from winning races. You also get other stuff. There are specific little gems that you can only get from the races in Sonic Adventure 1. So I would trade my Chao over to Sonic Adventure 1, have them win all the races there, and then get them the gem that would match their aesthetic the best there, and then move them back to Sonic Adventure 2. Wouldn't you know it, I'm always insane about everything I do. So this is what some of them looked like before, when they were young and I was young. And some of these are quite unique Chao that are bred from the Jewel Tone Chao. You can see in the Hero Garden picture, there's 4 Jewel Tone Chao in that garden. There's Silver, Gold, Ruby, and Emerald. If you breed Jewel Tone Chao with Two-Tone Chao, you can get a Two-Tone Jewel Chao, which becomes, like, for some reason, this weird... You can get a few bizarre types of Chao that way. You can see in my neutral Chao garden down there that I have a partially transparent Chao that is shiny and green. I have a Chao that's kind of pinkish, but not quite. That's a shiny jewel tone Chao that will change colors based on its alignment. So because it's a power Chao in this picture, it's pinkish because power is associated with the red color Chaos drives. But it's also been other colors. I think it's called, that one is named Luna. So originally I bred it so that it would be a swim Chao, which turns it yellow. And also the neutral swim Chao have these really long heads, and basically she was shaped like a moon. And then there's a mint Chao in this picture, which is also a shiny jewel tone, a shiny two-tone jewel Chao. It gets crazy. Breeding Chao is one of my favorite things about this game. You can get all kinds of really cool different combinations. I almost feel like some of these are not intentional somehow. But that's a mint Chao there. It's for some reason like just a very pale green color that's also two-tone, but it's not the same as the two-tone green that already exists. In the dark garden there, that is a shiny two-tone jewel Chao that ended up being like a transparent two-tone with shiny properties. I love the way that the shiny two-tone Chao look in the dark garden, by the way. That's why most of those are shiny two-tones, because they look so cool. So here's some shiny jewel Chao. Okay. So it's not just shiny two-tone, I think it's all shiny jewel Chao. Apparently in the Steam version, these do not exist, according to this webpage. My Chao in my garden would be impossible on the Steam version, which is interesting. There's a tool to convert your GameCube save files to Steam, so I did want to actually copy my save data over to the Steam version because I have a Steam Deck and I want to play the Chao Garden in bed. I would love to do that sometime. There are some different tools to do that, which is great. Hats off to the Chao community for making that possible. So some of these combinations apparently are impossible on Steam. So these look so cool. I love the shiny two-tone jewel colors. I didn't even know about some of these back in the day. I think that I didn't know so many combinations were possible. I actually bought Sonic Advance, I think it's just called Advance, the one with the tiny Chao garden, not Sonic Advance 2, because the tiny Chao, like unlocking that is impossible on Sonic Advance 2. I got the Game Boy Advance games just to try and get an Onyx Chao. So in the GameCube version, you can attach your Game Boy Advance to use as a controller, load your Chao onto it, and it gives you like a partial version of the tiny Chao garden. But in this, only some jewel Chao are available. Being myself, being who I am as a human being, I have loaded the tiny Chao garden onto a Game Boy Advance, kept it on there for weeks, and I would grind rings in the little mini games on it to try to get enough to buy an Onyx Chao. The Onyx Chao, it turns out, will never appear in that version of the tiny Chao garden, the egg for it. It just will not show up. You can only get certain types. I think you can get amethyst, you can get emerald, garnet, ruby, sapphire, silver, and gold. And my thought was that I wanted to put the onyx Chao in my dark garden. I think the two-tone are my favorites. The monotones are okay, but the two-tones are the most interesting. So sorry to keep you in suspense even longer if you are really only here to see the Chao and all of my tips and tricks for raising Chao. I have an old tutorial video on my Tama's Room channel about how I raise all of my Chao, how I raised all their stats, how I would align them for certain evolutions. So I thought I'd insert an old tutorial here to demonstrate how I used to raise all my Chao, but on watching it back, I realized that the audio was unlistenable. So I'm recording new voiceover for this old video to show you how I used to raise my Chao. Sorry about the frame rate of this footage. This was recorded in 2011 using the best technology I had available back then. So this footage is not the most amazing quality, but it does show clips of each of the steps pretty well for what I was doing. Disclaimer, this method really heavily leans on abusing glitches for the sake of efficiency. So if you're a purist and want to try raising Chao as the developers intended, this won't be helpful to you. At the time I was doing this, it probably never even occurred to me that the developers wouldn't actually have intended you to so easily be able to fully max out stats during a Chao's lifetime. Before I knew about these things, I really was only able to get each Chao to 99 in one stat each before they would reincarnate, and I would grind out Iron Gate hard mode to collect drives rather than using animals because I didn't realize that the animals gave out so much more in multiple stats. So in this demonstration, we're using a brand new Chao from the black market. This is Savory, who you will meet later in this video. The first thing that you do with a new Chao is give it a name and check its grades. So unsurprisingly, this store-bought Chao's stats aren't that great. His lowest grade was Swim, so here I decided to make him a Swim Chao to give him a bit of a boost in his weakest stat. When a Chao reaches its first evolution, it gains a letter grade in whatever stat it's aligned towards. And I also decided to make him a neutral Chao. Usually you want to use one character from each alignment to use your Chao to guarantee that they really like the character that you're playing with at all times in the event that they die or reincarnate. I've actually never had a Chao die in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, but I have had them die in Sonic Adventure 1. It doesn't really matter who you choose, but for the sake of the tutorial, I used Shadow and Sonic because they're the two easiest characters to do some of the glitches with. So when I raise a Chao to max stats, I usually start from the moment they hatch. Now little Savory here is going to be a Swim Chao, so we'll max that out last. When you're aligning a Chao towards the type you want it to be, the stats have sliders. This means it can either be Swim or Fly, and it can be either Run or Power. So if you want your Chao to be a Run Chao, but it turns out to be Swim, you should have given it more Fly drives to balance it out. This is why I recommend saving before the first evolution, so that you can go back and make changes if it doesn't turn out to be what you wanted. To align it to be a Swim Chao but still max out all of its other stats, we'll start maxing out its Run first and then its Power. By the time both are maxed out, neither should have priority over the other. Then we'll max out its Fly. Stats are also weighted, so different stats have different priorities. Swim takes priority over Fly, and Power takes priority over Run. In this scenario, Fly was the last stat that I maxed out before it evolved into an adult Chao, which due to these weights, required me to give the Chao 30 extra Run drives to negate the imbalance between Run and Power before it evolved, to allow it to become a Swim Chao as I intended. Once all the stats except Swim are maxed out, I give it 20 or so Swim drives. You don't want to max out whatever stat you're aligning it to until after it evolves, because it gets a stat boost after it evolves into that category, and the letter grade goes up, so you'll want to take full advantage of that after its evolution. So the fastest way to max out these stats is through animals, as they give way more experience than drives do, and there's a simple glitch to make this an easier process. Since we're starting with Run, we'll go to Wild Canyon and pick up 10 cheetahs. Now this glitch is easiest to do in the Hero Garden because this pillar in the corner of the garden is glitchy and it will trap the Chao there and it won't be able to move from that spot. The only way they can break out is if they start skipping around and wanting you to pet them, which thankfully if you get a Chao from the black market, they shouldn't like you enough to want to do that. So to do this glitch, pick up an animal and stand near the Chao but not too close to it. It's easy to tell if you're in the right place by the character's shadow. Now put the animal down right in front of the Chao and it will use the animal without using it up. You can repeat this until the stat is maxed out. The good news is you only need 20 animals or drives of any type to align the Chao towards that stat, so giving them more than 20 won't make it harder to change the alignment later. The actual numerical stat doesn't decide what the Chao evolves into, it's the quantity of animals or drives that you give it that does. So just repeat this step with different animals to finish maxing out your Chao. If your Chao falls asleep during this process, it's better to just wait for it to wake up on its own than try and force it awake, because it's just going to keep falling back asleep again over and over again. So the easiest way to max out power is to grab 10 gorillas from Iron Gate. Both the tigers and the bears are easier to get, but they give a little less power at a time than gorillas do, so it is faster in the long run to get 10 gorillas, even if it takes a little longer. For fly, the condors are the easiest. They give an insane amount of stats in multiple categories, so really they're the most useful animal that exists. What's more, they're super easy to get. You can get 2 of them at a time from Wild Canyon. For swim, otters are your best bet, and while they're not as easy to get as seals, they give more stats. There are 2 of them fairly close to each other in Dry Lagoon, and if you want to gamble a bit, you can try Prison Lane, although half of the time the otter that's located there is a sheep. And for the last 20 drives that we're going to use to align it towards swim, I always get my drives from Iron Gate hard mode because there's a lot of robots there that drop them. If you run out of lives while looking for animals, there's a handy glitch which can set your lives to 99. Just go to Security Hall on Mission 2, don't collect any rings, and then stand here. Get hit by this robot and it will knock you into the back ring. Repeat this one more time, and then go collect this extra life or any extra life. Exit and complete any other level to save. This really helps because every time you quit or restart a level, it eats one of your lives. So if you're grinding for animals, you will inevitably need to get more lives at some point. So when I filmed this video, I didn't take into account the priorities that stats have. So following the method that I outlined thus far, you're more likely to get a power Chao than a swim Chao because different stats actually have different priorities. When I used skeleton dogs, which are the only animals that remove animal parts from a Chao, on Savory, off camera, while I was making this tutorial originally, I just lucked out and this corrected his alignment and set him up to become a swim Chao. Skeleton dogs randomly influence stats, so they're not a reliable way to align your Chao. Instead, when you use the 20 swim drives, give it another 20 run drives as well, which will fix the alignment. So now that the Chao stats are how we want them, it's time to fruit spam. When you give a Chao a fruit in its childhood, each entire fruit adds 9 minutes to your Chao's lifespan and will save you 3.5 minutes towards its first evolution. Once your Chao evolves, fruit will no longer add to the Chao's lifespan, but they do take 3.5 minutes off of the time it will take for them to get their second evolution. Fruit in no circumstance make a Chao age faster or make their lifespan shorter. They're only considered good for your Chao. If you don't want to keep switching characters while trying to make a neutral Chao, you can do a glitch similar to the animal glitch, which involves putting the fruit down in front of the Chao so that they'll start eating it without a heart appearing over their head. I sometimes do this, but it's not as convenient as the animal glitch, because you have to sort of be vigilant about when they stop eating and throw it away. So now we've come to the point where our Chao has reached its first evolution, and it is exactly what we wanted it to be, which is a neutral swim Chao with maxed out stats and everything but swim. So now it's time to align it towards its second evolution, which is gradual. It doesn't get a cocoon when it evolves a second time. It's more like a natural, it's almost like the Chao is aging. Thankfully, it doesn't ever change its alignment once it has evolved the first time, so we no longer have to worry about which character we're using to raise it. The second evolution is purely cosmetic, so this one won't raise it a letter grade, and you can just choose what you want it to look like. Chao Island has a 3D viewer now, so you can recreate your Chao there and try different alignments on it and decide what you want it to evolve into. Food spam it some more to trigger the second evolution characteristics, and you're done. I guess I didn't cover this in the video, but if you need more rings while working on Chao, there's also a glitch to get infinite rings. It's more like save abusing, really. All you need is to take a high-value Chao egg and save the shell after it hatches. Usually I would save the shell from jewel Chao eggs, just from the tiny Chao Garden for this, but the light green shiny Chao eggs or any other high-value egg from the black market will also work. Just take the half of the Chao egg to the black market, sell it, and then hit the reset button on the GameCube, and it will reload your save so that the egg is still in your garden, but the rings are also added to your total. I like to also keep my eggshells in the water, because if you leave them just sitting around, Chao will sometimes put it on their head, and I don't always like how that looks. This is my Sonic Adventure 1 DX version, my 2 memory cards for this game. So I'm not as big a Sonic Adventure 1 fan. I did not grow up with this game. I got it in college, and I've tried to replay it recently, and it's not, I'm sorry. It's hard to go back to if you didn't grow up with it. Like, I hesitate to say that any old 3D platformer is actually a bad game, because it's almost like you had to be there to appreciate it for what it was. But I was not there for Sonic 1, so I don't have the beloved status with this game that I do with others. So unlike Sonic Adventure 2, you don't choose the Chao Garden from a menu in this game. You just have to walk to it. So that's to the pool. One of these is like to the Chao Garden. Yes, okay. So here we are in Sonic Adventure 1's Chao Garden. This has some old clones of my Chao. Look how shiny and sparkly it is. But this one's already a Chaos Chao, which is interesting. I thought I did that more recently. Yeah, so this is a clone of a recent Chao. There's Maruru! My baby Maruru! So here are some older clones. You can see this one is May from before they were a Chaos Chao, because they are a Chaos Chao now. And they don't even have max stats. I was still in the process of maxing out their stats. Trying to remember if I can go to the other Chao Gardens this way. Yes, I can. So here's an old Chao that is, oh my god, I just rolled right into it! Dear Lord. Chao Garden used to be so lethal. I think you can actually like murder Chao in this version. So this is an older Chao. This is one of my ex-boyfriend's Chao. This is Mango. Who are you? This is Coco. And this is Yo-Yo. So these are old Chao of mine. They're on the family tree. I haven't interacted with them in a while, so I almost don't remember them. And when I want to make more room in my main Chao Gardens on Sonic Adventure 2, I move Chao here. So some of these are like Chao that I do want to still have, but I just don't interact with them as much because they're on this Chao Garden. Maybe it would be fun to make some Chaos Chao in this game too. But Chao actually will like perish in this version, so it feels like very scary to be in here. This is Ellie, an old Chao. Old Dark Chao. This is Citrus and Yum Yum. So a lot of these are Dark Swim Chao. I don't know if I was being deliberate about that or not. Let's check some of their stats. So Ellie has almost no stats. Yo-Yo is basically its first evolution is a fly. It's a neutral fly power. I believe Coco is your pure run. Looks like run is the only stat invested in there. And Brendan is pretty like in the middle. I guess I was not going for anything in particular with Brendan. You saw that Brendan is the Sapphire Chao to the Ruby Chao that is May. This is Candy. So Candy is Hero Fly Chao. Hero Fly Power maybe? And you can see that none of these have animals on them. I used to always skeleton dog all of my Chao to remove all their animal parts. What were you? Citrus is higher up there in run. Like, look at that. That's a pretty good max run stat. He looks like a neutral none run. So okay, so that's 2 gardens done. This is Berry. Also, apparently didn't have anything in mind for this Chao, or maybe I put them in here shortly after getting them to make space because I wanted to raise a different kind of Chao. This is Pokey, which is the son, I think, of my Chao Gigas, who is the son of my Chao Monster. So that I remember who this is in the lineage of Chao, and it's named after Pokey from Earthbound. But doesn't it look so crazy? Look at that. Isn't that an insane evolution? Its arms. This is Casper, almost completely transparent Chao. And over here, I believe this is Yukio. I do not remember Yukio. Look at that fly stat. It's almost at 3,000. This is Gigas. So this is Monster's son. Gigas, the son of Monster and Noir, I believe. Okay, so Gigas has an insane swim stat. You're starting to see, like, the more you breed Chao, the higher their stats get. Almost 3,000. That's crazy. Okay, I don't think we've checked this one. Elf. I remember Elf. They used to be in my neutral garden. Yeah, their fly stat is quite good. Just climb all over, huh? So there's still one more memory card to go. I'm missing a memory card. Oh, it's up here. It's here. The panicked feeling when you think you're missing a memory card, but it's just in your other GameCube. Let's see what's on this one. Thank you for bearing with me. The sheer panic I felt when I realized I was missing some Chao. I was like, holy crap. How did an entire memory card of Chao go missing? After I organized everything so perfectly in here. Okay, so here are some of those Chao. Yo-Yo again. So there's duplicates of many Chao, I think. Yo-Yo and Candy. Yeah, these are all the Chao that were in the other garden on the other memory card. Very confusing. Here's Mango, Coco. Like I said, there's just a million clones of all of these Chao and all these gardens, so it just happens when you're sending them back and forth to get them emblems and stuff, or to get them their little jewels for their chests. So this is a more evolved version of Citrus that is a Chaos Chao with most of its stats maxed out. Okay, where is everyone? This isn't right. I need to check all my memory cards again. 1 minute. Okay, so I hypothesize that I have a third Sonic Adventure 2 memory card, not Sonic Adventure 1. And that is where all of my remaining Chao are. So I'm gonna find out if I'm right. And it'll suck to find out if I've deleted an entire memory card worth of Chao, but you know, there's the suspense for this video. We'll find out together how many Chao do I actually still have. So we're going to my main Chao Garden, and you will be able to see it in its current state since I've showed you pictures and explained what my Chao are like. So this is Boro. You saw them in our SA1 garden. They were a Chaos Chao there. I guess I had copied it over. Boro has insanely high power. Man, look at that power. That's crazy. This is... So Moon is special. Can you see its stats? Those are some high stats. Shall we take it to the doctor? Moon is one of my all S Chao in the making. So as you can see, Moon has all S's except for stamina. To get stamina to be an S, all I have to do is on its second incarnation, when it reincarnates once, to make it a hero none Chao again, and then it will have also an S in stamina. And so it will be all S, which is very exciting. This is one of those Chao that I bred the most recently. I was looking at all of my Chao stats and I was like, you know, I actually think I can get an all S Chao. Let me try and do that. And so I did. And so that was what Moon came from. This was like during COVID that I did this. During a heat wave, I recall, in my apartment with no air conditioning. And here's Ruby, and Ruby has identical stats to Moon. They are siblings. I just got both of them, and I couldn't decide which one I wanted to keep, so I kept both of them. So as you can see here, Maruru, as you saw them in the SA1 garden, was a little hero none, and now they are a Chaos Chao, a beautiful, beautiful Chaos Chao. As is May. May is also a Chaos Chao. And here is Heart. Heart Gold. Very good Chaos Chao. They all kind of have all the same stats because they're all pretty much just maxed out. So this is Lily. Funny, I named it Lily. I named the other two Brendan and May, but the emerald one's Lily. Yeah, also all maxed out. And Soul Silver, also all maxed out. Yeah, a lot of Chaos Chao with max stats in here. They're all old. What can I tell you? I've had enough time to do all of them. The Neutral Garden, I am sort of unsure what I want to do with them, because if I make them all Chaos Chao, they're all gonna look more or less very similar to each other in their current state. So this is Hermes, two-tone shiny white or brown. As we looked at the chart, this is Bright. Oh, I forgot about Bright. So Bright is shiny, two-tone, normal, neutral. I don't remember what it's called. The type that is basically just your stock egg that comes with the garden, except it's also shiny. And then, as I was explaining, this is Luna, who is the one... I feel like they look like, what are they called? From Zelda. They look like those when they're neutral swim. But the exciting thing about her is also that she changes based on type. Her current evolution. So if I make her a Chaos Chao, she'll just look exactly like Hermes, and that's not that fun. So here's Elliot. Elliot, I believe, is the Chao that came with this garden when I was 16 years ago. So this is a very old Chao. The other oldest Chao that I have in here is one of my very first Chao is Monster. I showed you some of Monster's offspring. Monster is also a very old Chao. Who have I not shown you? I don't think I've shown you. This is Ghost. This is one of the parents of my all S Chao. So it's a very good Chao. Has very good stats, except for Fly, looks like. And here is Vega, who used to be a dark Chao, but I decided to make them a neutral Chaos Chao because they look so much like Chaos that all Chao are based on, basically. Transparent ones, I like to give them the half fish plumb bob so that they get the little fire above them, like they're extra spooky. And then this is Jupiter, who is also a Chaos Chao by now. They were the mint Chao that I showed you, the pastel, unique, jewel two-tone. And then finally going to my Dark Garden. This is Noir. Noir is also one of my oldest. You can tell by its maxed out stamina. I think Elliot and Monster also had maxed out stamina. They have to be really old to eat that much, 'cause it takes them a long time to eat. This is Jasmine, who is a normal two-tone, I believe. She's also like an egg that came with a garden. This is Scorpio, who I think is the other parent of the all S Chao. Scorpio has really incredible stats. Very good. And then this is Virgo. They are what Vega in the other garden would have looked like as a dark Chaos Chao, completing the set. And Mercury, who looks very cool, very pissed off at me. And Oro. So there's Boro upstairs, the hero Chao, and Oro down here, the Ouroboros. The two of them are probably related to Monster somehow. This is Gemini. Gemini is very cool, very pink, very flamey. All looks very flamey down here. I love the Y2K aesthetic of Chao. Like, nothing tops this. It's all so perfectly Y2K. And she's playing the trumpet. So the way that you unlock a lot of this stuff for the Chao is by winning races or putting them in daycare. They learn skills like the trumpet in daycare, and then they get stuff for the garden like this boombox and the ball and stuff by winning races and unlocking that stuff for the garden. Now I'm gonna check my other memory cards to see if some of my other Chao are on them, because I'm a little bit worried that I have accidentally deleted a ton of Chao, but let's find out. I'm nervous. I don't know who's on this card. Maybe no one? Uh-oh. We're gonna just check here to save us the time. Oh no, okay, there are some Chao here. Oh, thank God. Okay. I did save them, just none of them are in the hero garden. Okay, so this is where I think all of my missing Chao are. I didn't delete all of my Chao. Okay, let's go see them. Okay, there's an egg here. Interesting. So, here's Chomp, I guess. This must have been a Chao that came with this game. Here's Snake. So you can see a completely transparent Chao with a box for a head. There's Coco that the other ones were cloned from. Tamago, another baby Chao. Mango, oh God, I'm getting nervous. Yo-Yo, uh-oh. Maybe all of my Chao are in the dark garden. I just want to make sure I still have Bubbles. I was very attached to Bubbles and Claris, and I don't see them anywhere. So here's Dunmer. I remember Dunmer. Dunmer was the subject of my old video, making him into a Chaos Chao. It looks like I never leveled him up after that. I just made him. And Emmy. I remember Emmy too. She's one of my old Chao from when I was a preteen. And Bubbles is also one of my oldest Chao. So here's Bubbles. I was so worried I had deleted her. I thought I had put her on SA1 and she was not there, so I was quite worried. So here's where some of my old Chao are. Apparently there's just this other random memory card that some Chao get moved to when I need the room. So that's a relief. All right, I have one more garden to show you. Yes, so this I believe is the last Chao garden, which has a lot of the Chao on the tree that you haven't seen yet. So it's also completely full. Okay, at some point recently, I believe, I don't remember doing this, but I guess I played more Tiny Chao Garden and I got another Sapphire Chao, but I don't remember them. This is Limey, an old Chao. This is Vanilla, another old Chao. So cute. And who are you? You are Celeste. Celeste has really good stats, I believe, or pretty good stats. I used to, with my ex-boyfriend, we would use a bracketing software for tournaments, and we would seed our own different memory cards against each other and have like Chao karate tournaments. So I do not recall Clutch, but Clutch, it appears, was taken good care of at one point. And Nella. I like the bunny parts on Nella, but yeah, that's Joker. Also very good Chao. So here's Ciel. Ciel, I believe, is also a shiny monotone jewel Chao. I don't remember the type that changes basically to whatever type it is. So this is a fly. You can tell by how massive its wings are. I love neutral fly because they look like Nights into Dreams. Good old Knights. I did not know about knights until this game. Here's Tang and Juicy. Oh, and here's Savory. Savory was my tutorial Chao. Looks like they're still on this memory card. And Sonata, a unicorn Chao. And Ursa, a bear Chao. Don't cry. When they cry, I give them a food, except I don't see any food in this garden. And here is Knight. Okay, I believe all of the Chao from that tree are now accounted for, which means that if any of them are not in any of these gardens, I don't have them anymore and they were released or deleted on accident. And Minnie. Oh, okay, I kind of remember Minnie. Minnie is a weird looking Chao. Look at this. Look at this guy. The power Chao look crazy. And now into the Dark Garden. There's an amethyst egg in here. I believe that's why Joker is in the Hero Garden, is I think I had the intention of raising an amethyst dark Chao, but I haven't hatched it yet. So down here is Atticus, and this is Azura, and I love the fly Chao so much. They're so cute. And this is Claris. Claris is also from my middle school days, so Claris is also like 16 years old. And Pebbles. Pebbles I do not recall, but they look like they're an interesting Chao though. And Metal. Not a lot of stats on this one. Yeah, this one's maxed. Pebbles had no stats. Atticus had good stats. What were your stats like? They're maxed. Run was really bad. Claris is maxed because she old. And you are Matcha. Who are you? What the heck? I guess this one is raised. It's all maxed out. Like, clearly somebody had a vision for this Chao at some point. And they're all fully raised. And now they're rolling away. Now we have seen all of the Chao. Thank God. So Monster bred with Yukio for Poki, and then they also bred with Noir, and that's where Gigas came from. So I was wrong. Poki was not the offspring of Gigas. Poki was the half-sibling of Gigas. Maruru came from the Tiny Chao Garden. When you have the Tiny Chao Garden and there's no Chao put into it from a memory card, it just gives you an egg or a Chao to have in there. It gives them a nickname for you, and the name that I gave this one was Maruru. And I thought that was so cute. I instantly became attached to them because in the Tiny Chao Garden, they like talk to you. And she said all these adorable things. So I kept her a Nun because I thought that Hero Nun is like so cute. I have a Hero Nun plush over here. I guess you can't see it. But whenever I see that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Maruru. So moving on. So we had Hermes and Zesty, who were the parents of Mercury in the Dark Garden. Mercury and Lemure are where Pebbles came from, that Chao that I was very confused about. So I guess that must have been really recently. And I must have bred them specifically to try to get a kind of Chao that I didn't already have. So I'm curious what Pebbles is. Mercury is a shiny two-tone yellow, I want to say. And Lemure is a shiny jewel Chao, because its parents are Dunmer, who's shiny gray, and Soul, who's my silver Chao from the Tiny Chao Garden. So, Pebbles, huh? Pebbles, you're interesting. A mystery. I don't remember what I was doing. I must have done that in 2020. Atticus and Juicy are the parents of Ciel, that big Chao, like that Chao with the enormous wings. And Ciel and Aster, are the parents of Matcha and Croy. How do you even say that? Why did I pick that name? So those are recent Chao. Those are from 2020. I must have bred them intentionally, I guess, because yeah, I don't remember those guys. I assumed that I had gotten that one from the Tiny Chao Garden, but I guess I didn't. I guess I bred for it. That's odd. I should have checked its stats. I should have checked Matcha's stats too, actually. And I believe that's everybody covered. I am dying now of curiosity to find out what some of those Chao are. So before we wrap up, I'm just gonna go check them. They're either something cool in terms of their genetics, like they're going to evolve into something really cool, or they have really good stats. So let's find out. What the heck are you? Why did I make you? And then save you? Oh, it's an all-A Chao. Okay, that makes sense. That's a good Chao there. You're a good Chao. I should raise you. And now little Pebbles. What the heck are you? What are you? Okay, so Matcha on my list was the brother, the all-A Chao brother of the all-A's Sapphire Chao. So what are you? You've already been reincarnated once. I don't remember raising you. The stamina, though. That's a very depressing stamina. Well, I guess it's not that bad, but it's not that good. Still pretty good stats on this Chao. Now, I believe Pebble I wanted to check. And then there's that one that's not even hatched yet, and I didn't see Tamago on my little list either. So Pebbles has Mediocre stats. I'm not sure what they are. They must be something really interesting, like color-wise. Who is Pebbles the offspring of? Pebbles. Pebbles is Mercury and Lemure's kid. Okay, so that's interesting. Not like an amazing Chao otherwise, though. Hello, it is another day. I was editing the footage that I recorded for the first chunk of this video, and I was going over this family tree that I showed you. I was trying to explain this tree in that recording, and I realized that I would need to create images of each of these Chao in editing to show you what Chao I was talking about for this tree to even be comprehensible. So I created a bunch of labeled images of all of my Chao. I went through and recorded like over an hour of footage of my Chao and then grabbed screen grabs of each of them and then created like a little labeled portrait of each of my Chao. And it would have just been a nightmare to go through in editing and have each Chao appear on the screen as I was talking about them. And I thought about this as I was making these pictures anyway, that I would really like to do an updated version of this tree with their pictures in it and also their grades and a label explaining what type of Chao they are. So it would actually show how their genetics and their stat inheritance was passed down through the different generations, which is, as I mentioned, my favorite part of raising and breeding Chao. And so I figured if I'm gonna do that anyway, when I had the idea, I wanted to do it on my own time for fun. And I thought, why not just make that part of this video? Because it may not have a utility function like showing you how I make my spreadsheets, but it could be fun anyway. And maybe you would want to do this with your Chao. I don't know if you have access to a recording of breeding all of your Chao over 20 years like I do, but maybe you're going to start a new garden and you can do this as you go. That's what I thought we would do today. I have all of my little labeled pictures and we're going to put them together in a genealogy tree that's more organized than this one, this old one. And we'll show you how everything was passed down over the years. Stat grades do change as Chao age and level up and reincarnate and evolve and things like that. So I will do my best to remember what their original stats were and explain that as I go. So with the stats that I have recorded for them now are not necessarily what was passed down. So that's a little disclaimer. Also, so I have here this document of all of the Chao and their grades. I went through and I moved all of my Chao to Sonic Adventure 2 Battle so that I could take them to the doctor and check their grades, because as you know, some of them were only on Sonic Adventure 1. There's no Chao doctor in that version. So I went through and I checked all of them, and I recorded all of their grades so we'll be able to fill it into the tree as we go. I thought it might be helpful to begin by looking at Chao Island and seeing like if there's an explanation of how stat grades are passed down, because that might be interesting to know. Well, it's not in this section. I wonder if that's in the wiki. Go to the wiki. So let's read about the genetics on the Chao Island wiki. The child Chao produced by breeding two Chao will have its genes determined by both parents. Chao are diploid organisms, meaning that they carry two alleles for each gene. This means that each adult Chao carries two different genes that determine if the offspring are going to be shiny, monotone, their grades, etc., and what ultimately determine the appearance of the child Chao. One allele is chosen from each parent to pass down onto the newborn Chao. When it comes to determining the Chao's appearance, most alleles are equally dominant, meaning one of the alleles is chosen at random to determine the Chao's appearance, with exceptions such as the normal color, which is recessive, and the shiny and jewel genes, which are dominant over their non-shiny and non-jewel counterparts. A more detailed explanation, which we're going to read of course, can be found in the main article for genetics. Okay, we'll just read about Sonic Adventure DX and 2 Battle. In the games after the Dreamcast era, Chao, like real organisms, have both phenotype and a genotype. The phenotype is the observable characteristics of the individual Chao, and the genotype is the full genetic information of the individual Chao, which determines the phenotype and may carry unseen characteristics that could be transferred to a Chao's offspring. The Chao genome, the total set of variable genes present within a Chao, has the major genetic categories of appearance, stat grades, and personality. Appearance genes are those for color, tone, shininess, and jewel coat. The stat grade genes include each stat, both visible and hidden: swim, fly, run, power, stamina, luck, and intelligence. The only known personality gene is that which determines a Chao's favorite fruit. However, the details of genes which may affect personality are an area of ongoing research. Still not everything is known about Chao to this day. very exciting. Chao may have 2 different alleles for a given gene, making the Chao impure or heterozygous for that trait, in which case its display of the gene will be determined by the dominance of one gene over another. A Chao may also have 2 of the same allele, making Chao pure or homozygous for that trait. Chao which start off in the garden, or those which are purchased from the black market or tiny Chao Garden, are pure in all genes. These Chao are easier to track the genetics of for breeding purposes than those with many impure sets of genes. So, most of my Chao are going to have a lot of impure genes because it's so weird to call them impure genes. That gives me like eugenics type feels. So we'll call it genetic variability. It's kind of weird in video game breeding because a narrow gene pool is almost exclusively a good thing when you're breeding virtual creatures because you want to breed down only the good stuff. I'm glad that video games exist for us to practice this idea of breeding and inheritance of good stats because it keeps us from doing it in real life. I don't think I would ever actually do any kind of breeding of like animals in real life. I'm glad that I only do it in video games. Like appearance genes, stat grades have 2 alleles each. These alleles represent each possible grade for a stat: E, D, C, B, and A, and S. If a Chao inherits different grade alleles, it has a 70% chance of choosing the higher grade as its phenotype. So it actually is slightly easier to breed good Chao than it would be to breed good Pokemon because it has a bias for passing down better grades. Each stat has its own gene set, and the displayed stats may have genes be changed over the course of a Chao's life. The displayed trait may be raised through evolution, causing a permanent change to a phenotype and to one allele. So this is kind of getting in the weeds of stat inheritance, but that explains why when I was going through my Chao's stats, they were within like 1 or 2 generations getting pretty good. It's not that difficult to breed an all B Chao or a mostly B Chao, and then from there, like my Chao's stats were getting good without me putting an effort to passing down the good stats. So this is why that is. It is actually quite difficult to get a Chao with absolutely perfect stats because not only is there RNG for passing down genetics, so like getting an all S Chao for example, but then once you have an all S Chao, there is like an RNG element to which stats they will receive when you give them an animal. There's somebody in the Chao subreddit right now who is trying to get an absolutely perfect max statted Chao. This guy, CSRYL, and they're having to reset each time they don't get the plus 30. So I have never tried to do this. It's very impressive that they're really trying to 100% this game because I would consider what I've done my version of 100%ing it, meaning that I have gotten all of the Chao I'm interested in getting, and I have bred the stats down to the extent that I'm happy with, like an all-S Chao is within reach for me. But this guy is not satisfied. Oh, I shouldn't assume their gender. This person, because Chao are universal, and everybody loves them. I've really been following what this Chao fanatic is doing because I find this very interesting. So the main thing that we're going to be looking at Chao Island for is just to determine exactly which exact phenotype based on the gallery we've got for some of these because I don't necessarily remember, but we should be able to narrow it down by comparing it to the pictures of them. And I have gone back and found pictures of Chao I no longer have from old recordings. Unfortunately, I don't have pictures of every single Chao that was on that tree that was crossed off. Like, I don't have pictures of Apple or Yui or Yoi. Yoi? But I remember kind of what some of them look like. For some of them, we're just gonna have to like use a no picture found graphic or something. But for some of them, I have gone back and like taken screen grabs of them. And we can use the Chao viewer on Chao Island to make an approximation of the ones I can remember. I've been looking forward to doing this all week. I'm so excited to start making this. So I kind of have decided where I'm gonna start in my head. So enough with the preamble, let's make a genealogy tree. So I'm on Google Images now, and I am gonna look through and kind of decide how to orient this, because I think it's going to end up being mostly horizontal because I have a lot of different families to fit into one tree that are not all necessarily connected. But there's also a lot of interbreeding, which is not typical in real life genealogy trees of humans, because in real life we frown on that. So I'm gonna have to be careful about how I lay them all out so that they can conveniently connect to each other. But I think what I'm gonna do is, just to get the dimensions of what I want, maybe download a sample image and use that dimension as a base. I have Photoshop open here. This is my little Chao portrait document that I was using to make all my portraits and make sure they were all the same dimensions. So I've opened this one that I've downloaded from the internet. I stole it. Sorry, internet, for stealing your picture, but I'm not actually going to use anything more than like the dimensions of this document. So we're going to actually hide this layer for now. And I think I'm going to have to start with Elliot. Okay, so we're starting with Elliot. I'm going to actually have to make this much smaller. You may need to expand the size of this document if it doesn't quite work. He is my oldest Chao. He also is the parent of a lot of Chao. So it made sense to me to start with Elliot in the center and then have all of Elliot's different mates out left and right of here, and then have any Chao that Elliot mated with that also mated with another Chao be the end caps. And I think that is how we'll start here. I'm probably going to have to move Chao around as I work out who breeded with who, because we got like grandparents breeding with nieces and nephews. That's how this is, that's what we're signing up for here. But I'd like to keep it as organized as I possibly can. So this is what I thought I would start with here. You know what? I'm going to make a solid background layer so that you're not looking at these grids this whole video, because I feel like that is going to get really tiring to people's eyes. The solid white background layer, just for now. I try and stay organized, which I never do in Photoshop. You could probably do this in a different program and keep it more organized, and there might even be programs that are designed for this specific kind of thing, but I'm using Photoshop because when I do things for fun, I just get an idea and roll with it. Okay, so looking at this tree, Elliot bred with Bubbles, Riala, Piaf, and Kitty. And Bubbles and Kitty are the two that have also bred with other Chao. Oh, and also Solomon. We'll put Bubbles and Kitty on the two ends, and then we'll fit in all the other Chao next to him. We need there to be room for another picture between each of these pictures. Oh, this is gonna get, I'm gonna need to spread this out even more. I'm gonna need to make this whole document wider, so canvas size. Should we double it? We're gonna make it ultra wide. We can maybe crop it later and adjust it back. So let's just make it 2,748. So her name is Red because I no longer have Piaf. I said when I was recording my tour of my Chao Garden that I didn't have Chao die, but I must have, because I have so many Chao on here that I don't have anymore. So I wonder if I used to change characters a lot when I was raising Chao, and so it would be more common for them to just perish instead of reincarnating, or it's possible that I would move them to SA1 and they would die there because it's so hard to not kill your Chao in SA1. Or maybe I just released some of them. And they do make you feel really bad for releasing them, but sometimes you just want more Chao and you have too many, so you can't make more without getting another memory card. So I think I used to just release some of my Chao. So I don't know necessarily what happened to each one of these. I think Piaf is named after Edith Piaf because I played the Chao Garden a lot in high school, and La Vie en Rose, the movie that's like a biopic of Edith Piaf, had just come out. And I really liked that movie. So that's why I think I named this Chao Piaf. So I've decided to make the names of the Chao that I no longer have red to differentiate them. And their pictures are also way lower quality because it's all that I had. But I feel like it's better to have some picture than none. So I think for the most part, all of these Chao, besides probably Piaf, are, I want to say, close to 20 years old. When I was recording the Chao Garden tour, I said they were all 16, but I realized it's impossible because if I started playing this game when I was 13 or 12 or 13 and I'm 31 now, that makes them 18 or 19. So these are pretty old Chao. These are all my original Chao. Elliot and Solomon must have been the two eggs that came with the garden. That when you make a new Chao Garden, it gives you 2 default eggs. They're two-tone normal, always. And that's what those two are. So I believe those two are the ones that came with the memory card. And the rest of these would have been just purchased from the black market. So that's where we're beginning with this. I said I was going to keep this organized, and I've already stopped naming my layers. Now I need to figure out how I'm going to connect all of these. So we'll do a line with for now, we'll do a black fill. I'm going to figure out the aesthetics of this when I'm all done. And I need it to be a completely straight line, and I would like it to be a thicker line. I'm not sure. I think actually I want this to be one continuous line to communicate that they're all with Elliot. Because the way it was looking before, it looked like they were all linked to each other, which is not what I want. So now let's make the stroke black again, the size larger. There, now it should be even between them all. So I think I will make a line that connects to Elliot and then does not connect to each of these. I think that will communicate that these are all Elliot's many bows. Harem of Chao. Oh, Photoshop, I wish I knew how to quit you. Let's do the line tool again and make this a little shorter. And now we will copy that. Is that exact? And now we gotta make a longer one for Elliot. I almost just want to get the layout done first and then make adjustments to include the information that I want to include, because I would like each of these to have like a little bubble around them that includes their phenotype and their stats. And there's not going to be room for that necessarily with the way I've set this up already. So I'm going to need to move all of these lines down. So on this tree, it says that Moldy and Bubbles are a pair. Now, I don't believe that's actually true. Moldy and Bubbles were not linked. I've got a picture of Moldy, but I think we're just going to omit him from the tree entirely because he didn't produce any offspring. I think I misunderstood how Chao breeding worked at first, and Monster is a two-tone yellow or two-tone green. I have to look it up on Chao Island, whatever Monster is. And I thought that you obtained that by breeding a yellow monotone and a green monotone. However, you would have to have bred a yellow monotone with a two-tone Chao to produce a two-tone yellow Chao, which is what Monster is. So Moldy is not part of this equation at all. So I believe that's what that little line is, linking Bubbles and Moldy, is I thought that they were Monster's parents, but they are not. Shall I go ahead and just put all the offspring on this tree? Let's do it. So Monsters first. I'm going to need to just have the tree open, or I'm going to be checking back and forth forever. So I'm going to have it open in a separate window that you can't see, but I think it's easier than constantly pulling it back up again and closing Photoshop for you. I didn't like Myron because I didn't want Elliot and Solomon to breed, but sometimes when you don't have a full garden, they just do it on their own, like of their own free will. So Elliot and Solomon breeded, and then I was so upset by that that I banished their baby to SA1 and I put Solomon on a different card, and eventually I think I got rid of Solomon. So yeah, very dramatic. Broken family there. Okay, so these are all of Elliot's children. This is a lot of kids with different Chao. And then each of his kids is a lot of kids for the most part. Okay, off to a solid start. Now we need to do Bubbles' relationship and Kitty's other relationship. So I think we actually want to go back to this big main line here and make it a little shorter so that we can have an additional line coming from both Kitty and Bubbles. I believe that this is Shinobi. I don't know for certain because I used to change their names a lot, so this was not the name of this Chao when I found the video of it, but I vaguely remember naming it Shinobi because it was a dark swim Chao and they look like they're wearing like little hoods, like they're ninjas. So that seems accurate to me. We're gonna run out of room here. I need to move all of this over. So I've decided that Shinobi is gonna be the end on this side. So I actually need to move all of the everything over here. All right, so Joker has more than one partner. So this is where this is gonna get interesting. Bubbles and Joker had Juicy. All right, okay, boy, we're gonna need to make it wider again, I can already tell. Oh my god, I have so many Chao. Okay, Joker also had another partner. Did Joker have more than one partner is a good question. No, Joker only had 2 partners, which is perfect for the purposes of the tree that we've already started building. But Vanilla also had another partner, who also had another partner. This is really fun. I'm enjoying this process. So Joker and Vanilla had Yo-Yo. Joker and Vanilla had 2 children. This is unfortunate because this means I now have to figure out the spacing. Okay, so I'm gonna add 1 child on there and then another, and then we'll move these lines around to accommodate the multiple children. I don't know how exactly, but we're gonna figure it out. I think this is unusual for two Chao to have more than one child. So they had Jasmine and Yo-Yo. There's Jasmine. So I guess the question is, how do we do more than one children? Should we look at a family tree on the internet to see how they handle that? So in these trees, okay, so we could just have them arranged in the same spacing and then have the line come out like that. So maybe that's what we'll do. I don't know if we have enough room to do that, but we'll have it come out like that. Okay, this isn't too bad so far. Okay, that kind of works. Interesting. That is going to make Vanilla's second relationship more complicated though. So perhaps instead of that, modify this line again, make it a little shorter again, and then there it is. Okay, I think perhaps this is the way to do this, because this maybe makes it clear that these are siblings, and then that way I would have room for Vanilla's other connection to... This actually is not better at all, because Vanilla still doesn't have room for another kid with another Chao. So we're gonna have to change the spacing of how we handle siblings then. Could do that. It's a little bit like, it's not as nicely spaced as the rest of the tree, but it's, I don't know, more practical to indicate that these two are part of this little unit, but then Vanilla also has Chao with another Chao. So I think that that's what we're gonna have to do to indicate siblings. Doesn't look as nice. I could move Juicy over just a little bit to accommodate, and that way it's not quite as bad. Yeah, I think that's maybe what we're gonna have to do there. And we'll have to do the same thing over here with Citrus's, or Vanilla's other thing with Citrus. We're gonna have to make this whole thing wider again in a second, because Citrus also has many bows. Okay, so Citrus was actually the first Chao, I think maybe the first Chaos Chao of this group, and also the one that unlocked everything for all of my gardens. Citrus doesn't have perfect stats. Like, Citrus was not raised to 99 in everything. So you really don't need stats at 99 for any of the content in the Chao Garden. So I've been thinking about what motivated me, because so many of my Chao are completely maxed out, and I think that it was because of the multiplayer features that I was really compelled to try to optimize my Chao. Because the game itself uses maybe 1/4 of the max that any Chao can get in terms of like good stat grades and actual stat points. You can beat it easily without very much optimization. You can beat all of the races in Chao Karate. But having someone to play with, and the second memory card where we were like sort of raising Chao and then pitting them against each other, was, I think, what the main motivator was for raising really good Chao. So if I were going to make a new Chao Garden today, I think that maybe the temptation would be for a lot of developers to kind of make it a resource farming game, because it was a little bit about getting resources to get better Chao, but it sort of becomes a snake eating its own tail after a while. I was talking in my Discord with some people about what modes I would add to add more content, because there's really just not that much to do with your Chao. There's only races and karate. So I would want to do more with my Chao, but I would want them to be like mini games, like the races and karate, not necessarily a means to get more stuff to get better Chao. So I think all I would really need to make a compelling version of the Chao Garden today was just online features, so that I can do what I did with the different memory cards with my friends on the internet. And that's really all I need, I think. I don't know, let me know if I'm totally off base. What would you want to see in a new Chao Garden if they made another one today, finally? I think that most likely it's going to end up being a games as service type platform, which, you know, that's how games are today. So I can begrudgingly, used to the idea, but I won't love it. I don't think anyone loves games as service. I think that only the people who monetize games love games as service, and players don't actually. Let me put actually their baby on there so that I know where to put this. What's the baby? Citrus and Vanilla. Oh, it's a Chao that I don't have anymore, and I don't have pictures of. So we gotta go make a picture really quick of this Chao. So this is a Chao that was named Pumpkin. And I can guess that based on who its parents were, it was probably two-tone orange, which would have looked like this. Which makes sense, considering its name was Pumpkin. I guess I didn't keep it. which is a shame. But I do have another Chao already with this coloration, so maybe I was like, I don't need 2 of them. 3D Chao viewer, there we go. So let's make a little pumpkin. Maybe it had a pumpkin on its head, because I think that you can do that. I don't know what the stats were. I also don't remember what its face was. Color. Oh, you can't put things on. Oh, there we go. Yes. Pumpkin head. So it was probably an adult. Maybe it was a hero. Yes, this looks right. I think this is what pumpkin looked like. We'll take a little screenshot of this. Hypothetical Chao. So this is our deceased Chao pumpkin. R.I.P. So far, this is really coming along. So we are unfortunately going to need to expand this again. This is going to be an extremely long tree. Not so much tall, mostly horizontally wide tree. Okay, so now there's more room to do more tree stuff over here in this huge blank space we just created. Oh, this is going to get so complicated. Okay, so I'm looking at this. Citrus had a mate named Zesty. Now, Zesty also mated with the child of Hermes. So we're gonna have a line from a Chao next to Citrus up in this corner all the way down to Hermes down here. That is going to be awful. And I can't move Bubbles because Bubbles is the reason that Citrus is on here at all. And Kitty was on the edge because Kitty has this mate over here with Shinobi. Oh no. Oh, this is gonna get so complicated because now each one of these has a mate and I didn't really leave room for mates. And of course they're not all mating with each other. I wish I had thought this through. Gemini. Does Gemini have a mate? Gemini has 2 mates, and one of them is Night, who also mates with Monster. So perhaps I should put Gemini next to Monster. So we will swap Piaf and Riala. And we'll put Claris and Gemini. So we're gonna scoot this over and scoot Monster over. And then we will scoot this over. And then in the middle will be, because Night mates with Monster, and Night also mates with Gemini. What a mess. Okay, so we will put Night in the middle here, like Elliot, connected to both of these gals the same way. I almost feel like I need to move them down to make room, because Monster has 2 other spouses, one of which is the daughter of Claris. Oh my god. We're gonna move these 3 down. Yeah, to there. And we'll edit this and make it longer. And we will edit this one and also make it longer. And we're actually gonna need to make this whole document taller now. Can you imagine how crazy this would be in real life? So your dad gets remarried twice and has a different kid with each of them. And then both of those kids have a kid with the same man. Isn't that like absurd? I wonder if that, I'm sorry to make fun of you if this has actually happened to you. So this indicates properly that Night and Gemini and Monster have children. Oh no! Oh no! Okay, so Monster's kid with Night is Oro, and Oro has a kid with Gemini. Messed up! Very messed up. I'm my own grandpa. I'm my own grandpa. Yes, it's funny, I know, but it really is so. Oh, I'm my own grandpa. So Cash is an important figure in this tree, and we need to look at Chao Island to figure out where he fits on here. So let's go back here. Okay, so we know that Cash's kid, a shiny jewel Chao, and Cash's kid is, in particular, this shiny jewel Chao, which is pink. So to get a shiny jewel Chao, you need to breed a shiny pink Chao. Does it matter if it's two-tone or not? Maybe it doesn't matter. The parents are Cash, who is the kid of a shiny two-tone pink and a blue Chao, and Soul, who is a silver Chao. That means that Cash has to be at least a shiny pink Chao. Color, shiny two-tone pink. I wouldn't have gotten rid of it, I think. I probably wouldn't have gotten rid of it if it was shiny two-tone pink, because that's so cute. So we'll just say this was Cash. I don't know if this is true or not. We'll just say this was Cash. Yep, there's Boro. Damn. Oh, Gemini also had another kid with another Chao. So let's move this line over, because Gemini needs to have yet another suitor coming off of it. I think we'll just leave this line connected like this to make it more similar to the way Elliot's is. We need to add, so let's add Heart here. And Heart has more than one suitor. Do one of these. Yeah, there we go. And Heart and Gemini's kid is Bright. I'm gonna move Claris down. Claris and Monster both breed with Noir. So this is such a headache. Really, Hermes and Claris both need to be on this side. So I almost feel like I need to swap some things. But Bubbles has to be where Bubbles is. So Hermes and Claris cannot be on that side. I can swap where Myron and Claris are. I could even move Elliot over. Maybe I will move Elliot to where Solomon is and Claris. But Claris being where Myron is not helpful. And Piaf has to be where Piaf is because Gemini is Piaf's kid. What a headache. So my thought is Piaf stays where they are. Bubbles stays where they are. We have to move Piaf over just a smidge so that I can fit Claris, because truly I need to put Noir in between Claris and Monster, but they are related. Oh, what a nightmare. Fortunately, really kind of no matter what I do, this has to, I gotta get Noir on here. 1 second. Okay. Here's what I think I'm gonna do. This line, there's Gemini. I'm gonna go ahead and Monster and Claris through Noir. Maybe we'll make this line a different color eventually. So it's kind of in the background. So it's connecting Monster and Claris. And then we'll have another line here that connects to this line. There. So now Monster and Claris are, it's not super obvious who's whose. Oh, this is so frustrating. They're both Elliot's kid and they both had babies with Noir. Adjust this over like that. Claris had more than one kid, right? No, Claris just had, well, she had 2 kids with Noir. For the purposes of this, we're just going to ignore one of them because, so let me show you the tree again. So there are 2 children with Noir that Claris had, Yukio and Yoi, but one of them is crossed off and did not have offspring. So for the purposes of not making this a hot ass mess, we're just going to ignore this crossed off Chao and only put 1 kid on the tree for Noir and Claris. Yukio had a kid with Monster. Oh, this is so messed up. So how's Gigas gonna have any kids on here? I'm gonna go ahead and change the color of this line to blue. Oh geez. Okay, so Gigas has a kid, the kid of Heart and Azura. Perhaps this is why you start with the youngest generations and work your way up to the oldest, because this is now quite difficult to do. Heart and Azura had another kid too. So I'm gonna fit their kid on here. I didn't leave enough room. Their kid is Casper. And then Azura also has a kid with Coco. I think this can actually be longer because Coco doesn't have any other children, thank God. We'll just move that later. And Azura had Virgo. Okay. So who's Gigas with? Oh my god, Yo-Yo. Oh no! Virgo has a kid with Yo-Yo. Virgo has a kid with Yo-Yo and Gigas. Yo-Yo's all the way up there. Boro also doesn't have children, so I guess we'll just go down with Gigas and Virgo. So how's Yo-Yo gonna fit into all this? So Yo-Yo needs to be moved down in order to be on the same-ish line as Virgo, and Virgo's gonna be, so I'm gonna just zoom out for a second, make it taller again. So we'll make it 3088. So everybody's moved up. Now we have more room. So Yo-Yo, I need to move Yo-Yo down to down here about. I also need to move Gigas down and Virgo down. Now I need to add a line. So I think what I'm gonna do is just color these and we'll put Pokey in finally. I don't know, does that communicate what I want it to? It's kind of weird that it crosses over Gigas's line, but that way there's not additional lines. Noir and Monster had Gigas, and Noir had Yukio, and then Yukio and Monster had Pokey. I hope that that communicates what I want it to communicate. What a dang mess. We're just gonna put Brendan on. Any progress is progress, right? Okay, so now Celeste is on there, so then we'll just keep it consistent. We'll put Emmy over here and then Ursa next to Bubbles. Wait, what am I doing? Okay, these two. Sorry. Emmy and Ursa are connected. Minnie. And then I'll put Yum Yum on here. Did Minnie have another? Minnie only had, well, Minnie had 2 with Tang though. So Tang and Yum Yum had Mango. Oh, who had a kid with Azura all the way over freaking here. Oh no! Know it? Screw it. Mango's gonna have to go over here, even though it doesn't make sense, because I need this line to continue. And so we're gonna put Mango in line with these guys, and we'll just draw a big, long, intersecting line that crosses through all of this, because we have to. I hate it though. I don't want to put a line all the way through all of this stuff. I hate that. Now this is no different from the Chao tree I was making before. It's just as confusing. I got a bad idea. I don't love how this is becoming a clusterfuck like the old one, but like I don't know how else to make this all work. We got interbreeding on like multiple sides of the family and I don't know. So now Mango is over here and Mango and Azura have Nella. Let's get Nella on here. Nella doesn't have any offspring, thankfully. I'm getting way hungry. I'm gonna have to stop soon. Crar. How do I say that? I should probably look that up because I've been avoiding pronouncing that this entire time. What does it even mean?
Wow.
Quar? But why? What does it mean? I think quar means believe, but I don't know why I chose that name. But I had a snack, I moved a little bit, fixed my eyeliner, and I am going to give this another try. So one of the things that I realized when I was looking at it is that I need to make some of these lines a different color on account of there being some inbreeding. So now that is a little clearer that Oro and Gemini had Boro. And now I have decided I'm going to move Yum Yum over just a little bit. There's really no reason that Yum Yum needs to be in the exact center like that. So we'll put Yum Yum over here. And then I had the thought of doing a different colored line for Zesty and Hermes, because if I can get Zesty and Hermes connected, that solves a lot of my problems. See, I feel like it should be like a dark purple, pure purple color. And this line is gonna go behind all of these pictures because it needs to come out down here. So actually, we'll make a copy of it and I'll make it purple. I feel like it's going to communicate the wrong thing if I actually have it go behind all these pictures. Like it'll make it seem like Zesty is related to all of them because that's how I did it down there. Perhaps we will actually just go a little lower to make a pleasing little picture. There we go. And so Hermes and Zesty's kid is Mercury, who has a kid with Jupiter a couple generations later. So Dunmer and Sol have Lemure. I can actually just move Mercury down more if that's the problem. Oh, I'm gonna run out of room again. Here's an idea. Figuring it out. We're figuring it out. So this is meant to signify that Cash is also breeding. Cool. And now we can put Jupiter on there. I think we want the line from Brendan to go back up to the top left. So this will just be the end over here. Well, I still don't know what the heck Pebbles is. Unclear. So we'll add Apple and Sonata up here. So Apple, let us go to this viewer. So Apple, I believe, was a monotone red with an apple. Now going back to Photoshop. Every time I have to make a new one of these, I lose my transform again. 27, there we go. So Apple and Sonata are siblings. So Sonata and Brendan need to be on the same line. Oh, that's actually fairly easily achievable. So hang on. We're gonna move Brendan this away and we're gonna just continue this line. I'm not entirely sure why I even did it the way I did it. So this way Virgo is now the center point for which all of these other points. Okay, so we're sorting this out. There's actually no reason for Brendan to be where Brendan was. Brendan can easily just be in this line of spouses already. And then we will connect Brendan and Sonata because we now can. So we're gonna actually move Sonata way down to over. Well, we don't need to move her over quite so much. Okay, Brenda and Sonata's kid. Brendan and Sonata's kid is Aster. Woo! All right. Okay, we're working it out. And then Apple and Vega have a kid, which is easily doable because now I can move Apple down to where Vega is because I don't think that Celeste, Luna, oh, Aster does have kids, but Celeste and Luna don't. Guess there's sort of no reason for these all to be quite so far apart, huh? Who's Aster's kid with? Okay, we're getting there. I'm starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. So we're gonna need to connect Vega and Apple, because their kids are the ones that breed with everybody else. So Apple and Vega have Scorpio and Atticus. They are brothers, Scorpio and Atticus. That's crazy because I don't even remember what color Atticus is, but they look nothing like any of their parents. So, okay, they're brothers. And now Scorpio has a kid with Jupiter, and it's Ghost. And then Atticus has a kid with Juicy, and it's CL. And then Aster has a kid with CL. We're getting there. I'm gonna go eat dinner, and then maybe I'll come back and finish this. We'll have to make this blue, because it is going to cross this other path here. I'm moving this to the top, but maybe it shouldn't go underneath the black line because it is a more recent development, right? It should go on top of it. Okay, so Ghost. Ghost, dirty little thing, and it mates with its... How many generations removed is this? Okay. Are they even related? Is kind of a philosophical question, because Gemini directly is related to this little group here, but indirectly related to Virgo, part of this line here with Scorpio. So maybe by marriage, or perhaps because Gigas is also related. Not really. Okay, so they're not technically like directly descended, but they gonna have a baby. So how do I squeeze in another frickin' line to Gemini? Oh god. I think it's gonna have to be a purple line, because it's gonna intersect with so many other lines. I kind of hate that though. Also kind of hate that. Well, I can move the blue line. That only goes there. Just make sure that it's in line with the others. Purple line starts there. This is a little better. Only a little. I wanted to be super smart and careful about how I planned this all, but I think it's just, there's almost no way to get around that some lines are going to have to overlap because of the fact that so many generations are interrelated. All right, so Ghost and Gemini have Ruby and Moon. Where does she go? There is she. Okay, Ruby and Moon are on there! Okay, I can solve this problem by moving Yo-Yo up quite a bit. Maybe we'll just put him more in the middle row here, because Yo-Yo has a partner other than Yo-Yo, Roxy, and Streak. Okay, so we'll put Roxy on there. So Yo-Yo, Roxy, and Streak. So Yo-Yo and Roxy had Candy, and then Roxy and Streak had Berry. And I think that's the end of both of those bloodlines. So that's very simple. I'll zoom in again. Cool. Now that little cul-de-sac is done. We need to put Savory on there. Savory and Celeste. Okay. So Celeste is down here, and Aster. I think what we'll do is we'll just put these guys down here. So now we'll put Savory there. This is clutch. Got them all. Except I now have to figure out how to get Atticus and Juicy together. So I might do this. We'll scooch you over to about here. And now we move this line over, and this line over, and Atticus over, this line over again. Honestly, kind of move a lot of stuff over. So hang on, let's zoom in down here and fix all this again. So now we've moved a few things over, and perhaps we will also scooch Luna over just to make sure we have room. And now we will bring, this is gonna be a line, but since Juicy does not have anything going on up there, it makes more sense for Juicy to be down here with Atticus. Let's make it blue. We'll move it up so that it matches those. Move this down. Okay, that's a crazy, crazy long line, but that allows Juicy and Atticus to not have a nightmare situation with their offspring. That also helps out Aster a little bit. Not that much. We'll figure out Aster later. Juicy and Atticus and their little baby CL. Gonna move Aster down here. There's that. That's odd. Yeah. Oh, there's two of them. Okay. Let's go to Chao Island again. I know that it was a gray Chao. It was a monotone gray Chao. It did not have anything on its head. If I remember right, it was dark swim, and that was pretty much it. So now back to Photoshop. Okay, Ellie and Metal's kid is Snake. Okay, let's zoom out and make sure that it lines up with the right row. Okay, let's double check, shall we? Bubbles, Elliot, Solomon, Kitty, Shinobi, Savory, Zesty, Citrus, Vanilla, Joker, Streak, Roxy, Yum Yum, Piaf, Riala, Noir, Heart, Azura, Coco, Brendan, Maruru is not on here. Monster, Elf, Tang, Pumpkin, Yo-Yo, Berry, Casper, Virgo, Celeste, Oro, Hermes, Candy, Mango, Mercury, Luna, Nella, Bright, Jasmine, Gemini, Claris, Boro, Cash, Jasmine, Juicy, Pebbles, Pokey, Yukio, Clutch, Vega Gigas, Ursa, Emmy, Minnie, Dunmer, Sol, Lemire, May and Lily are not on here. Jupiter, Jizz, Glyme, Metal, Ellie, Snake, Apple, Sonata, Scorpio, Atticus, Vega, Aster, Quar. I have to change the name. I cannot pronounce the name of that Chao. Matcha, Ciel, Moon, Ruby, and Ghosts. I think all that's missing are the ones that are not actually related to anybody who can go on the tree. I think pretty much anywhere. We'll just plop them on there. And that would be Maruru, Lily, and May. When I went to get the pictures of all the Chao for this tree, I had to spend time in the gardens just like watching them do stuff to get like good shots of them. And while I was in there, I had that one normal Chao egg and that one amethyst Chao egg, and both of them hatched. So I need to put those two on the tree as well. And I'll also add Tamago and Chomp, and we'll just forget about any Chao that I don't currently have on a memory card. Yeah. And that'll be it. So where do I want to add the newbies? In what general vicinity? So I think I will put the ones that are not related to anybody in this row down here. About there. So we just generally get some space filled in on this table. Kind of over here where there's not a lot of stuff. I guess I'll put Pisces in this row too, because it's also from the tiny Chao Garden. And then I will make a new row for the ones that are the normal Chao that came with the various gardens that I have not raised yet. And there we go. This is the full tree. So let's go ahead and crop this canvas to the exact size that we want. Leave kind of generally the same margins on top, bottom, and both sides. And there we go. That is our tree. We're going to come back another day and add in the genetic information. We're back. Final day. So my plan is to find a background on the Spriters resource that is ripped from the game in order to make the Chao family tree look a little less boring right now. So this is Sonic Speed Simulator. I've never heard of this game, and it was submitted by Pterodax XD001. Just this texture here seems perfect to me. Okay, so we're just gonna take this part right here. I don't think it loops perfect, or it probably won't tile perfectly. It doesn't look like it will. We can use a different picture if this really doesn't work, but okay, let me try and remember how to create a texture to dump. Go to edit, define pattern. Aha! Okay, we don't want that. We'll do this one. We'll just crop it to this. We probably want to crop it a little more. So we go to edit, define pattern, and let's see if this works. Okay, I think I figured this out. Okay, now pray for me. It worked! Yes! Okay, it does not tile perfectly. You can actually see in the background, zoom in real close, and it does not perfectly line up. Can't decide if that bothers me enough to do anything about it. It kind of, maybe it would look better with a perfectly tiling background, but this sort of makes me think of old GeoCity sites. I don't know, is that awful? We might be able to modify the existing one to make it tile perfectly. I think it wouldn't take that much effort. Let's crop this again. We need to bring it down to about there. Let me review this one more time. This looks like it tiles almost perfectly. It's still not quite though. So the top edge, I feel like I lined up pretty well. There's still a visible little line there, but I think that's from the bottom edge. And then from the side, it still doesn't line up. I'm not sure how much more I need to cut it to make it line up on the sides. I think it needs to be cut to there to line up on the sides. Let's zoom in. This now looks fine. Okay, fine. Okay, let's try again. Pattern, Chao 4. That almost is perfect. It's good enough for me. Okay, so my thought was I would like to make a little bubble for each of these that contains information. So I'm going to look at the user interface. So mostly, the Chao Garden user interface is just like a rounded rectangle with a outer stroke that's mostly transparent and a slightly darker inner triangle. And the font it uses is Comic Sans. So that's what we're gonna go for. So we'll start once again with Elliot. as our guinea pig. We'll find his lair in here. I was not good about staying organized with the layers. I almost immediately abandoned that, but we'll figure it out as we go. So Elliot should be here. Here we go. So let's use the rectangle tool, properties panel. So I need to have room for both the type of Chao it is and its letter grades underneath. So we'll try, the font's gonna have to be really small if I'm gonna do anything too small. So let's try that size. For this rectangle properties, we're going to add a corner radius, 65 pixels to make it a rounded rectangle. That's pretty round. And the fill, well, let's just pick out a blue. If we do like a pastel blue, kind of like that, that looks good. So 65 is a little extreme, I think. Let's adjust a little bit. That's good. And then we make it a little transparent. Fill. I make that slightly transparent as well. Okay. And now we fill this in with the info we want. I think it's kind of too wide. Kind of looks alright-ish. So now we group these together. You know what? We're gonna just group these together. I said on Twitter the other day that I thought it was interesting that they chose to pair this system with gameplay that's designed to encourage you to replay levels in order to build skill to get better and better scores. But when I think about it, the inspiration for the Chao Garden was the Nightopians in Nights into Dreams. And that was a very similar situation where the levels were designed in the same way with a scoring system. The gameplay is different, but the actual scoring system is almost identical to Sonic Adventure 2's. And the Chao in that game, the Nightopians, are in each of those levels. They're not even in a separate area. You just get to walk around as Elliot or Claris and interact with them. And actually you interact with them as knights when you're flying around too. So this was always intended to be paired with fast-paced gameplay. I find it interesting that the two work so well together because this is really my favorite combination of systems. I love the levels and I love replaying them and getting better at them, and I also love raising my Chao and finding all the animals and drives in those levels, even though it means not playing them necessarily with the goal in mind of getting better at them. Would this have been faster to do from the start? Probably. This would be the perfect activity to put on some music and sing along to while you did this because it's so mindless. It's just like drawing, really. I bet when they were inventing Photoshop, this is exactly what they had in mind that you would use it for. This looks so good except for the fact that I cut off the names on these because I didn't want to move the text and I didn't start with a letter that came down below all the rest of them. So all of the Y's and G's are cut off and it looks kind of trashy. But you know what? They use Comic Sans in the game, so they weren't exactly going for a high-class look anyway. I've been really into Sabrina Carpenter lately. If I could listen to music while I did this, that's what I would be listening to. There's Myron. This is going to become quite a mess. I mean, it's already a mess. I need to move this line down a little, huh? Because I think, although these are transparent, and that saves me a little bit of this work, it's still, there's no reason for it to be quite this tall, right? I'd actually like it to be a little lower still. I'd like it to have the same clearance room as the first row. There. They've moved it down, and I will also need to move these ones down. But that's fine. It's gonna be a little more difficult down here with everything so close to each other. So we'll see if it works. Let's see what we end up needing to do here. This is why I'm pretty sure there's an easier way to do all this. This isn't that bad though. Just a little adjusting. Not too bad. Not too bad, all things considered. Considered how little planning went into this. Let me double check the tree because I can't remember if Monster or Night was the parent of Cash and Bright. So I just want to make sure that that's accurate. It's a little bit confusing. So we have Night with Monster, that's Oro. We have Night with Gemini, that's Cash. We have Gemini with Heart. So this is not accurate, but it's easily fixable. We also have Gemini with Monster. I think this is where it gets confusing, but Monster did not breed with Heart. So that's where it's wrong. So this is actually not accurate, but it's okay. We can fix it. I think I had it right at one point and then I needed to change it. Gemini, Gemini, Gemini. Just realized too that this line needs to extend a little further because it's now broken off. There we go. And these lines are not quite in the middle anymore. Probably gonna have to scooch a bunch of stuff over, but it's not the end of the world. LOL. This whole group. Ugh. I have to move so many Chao downward. We just need to expand the canvas size a little bit vertically. This looks pretty good. Zoomed all the way out like this, except for the bottom, which is all messed up now. So, Photoshop, don't crash on me now, baby. I should have saved first. Scooch over just a little bit and deselect. Okay, don't be like me is I think the lesson to take from this. Don't do this in Photoshop. And then also don't do this step last. Learn from my mistakes. Okay, I think I have salvaged it. So now everybody gets bubbles. Okay, all of the bubbles are in. So the basic aesthetic of this picture is complete. Now I'm going to crop it again. Recrop it, because I don't need all this room now. A little closer on the bottom. I think the margins are basically right on the sides. It's not quite the same on both sides, but whatever. Oh my god, it's already almost 10 o'clock. It is like 10 o'clock, so I now also have to stop again. So this is gonna be 4th day of filming for this video at this point. I realized as I sat down to record this in this little off-the-shoulder top I'm wearing that I look like Joan Cusack from Addams Family Values. Okay, this is gonna be the last day, I mean it this time, of doing this. So the first thing I actually want to do is I want to adjust the color of this background because I've been looking at it in the few days off between recordings and I feel like it's very cyan, so maybe we want to like desaturate it a bit, make it kind of more of a pastel background as opposed to extremely bright. We want to make it darker, or do we want to make it lighter? We want to make it less blue? I feel like darker is too dark. We could do a lighter background and adjust the hue to a different color entirely if we wanted to. Orange reminds me of the Chao transporter. I almost want to do like more of a purple, I think. And then we'll make it a lighter color. There, I like that. That's cute. Desaturate it a little bit more. Yeah, I kind of like that. What do you think? It's a little bit less eye-catching, a little less assaulting you. Okay, so now it is finally time to put in the grades of all of these Chao. And I wrote them down in this document, and all I have to do is just put in a bunch of text boxes. So that will not take long. Starting in alphabetical order, unfortunately, so we're going to be jumping all over the place. So we want this to be, okay, this size. So I think we actually don't want to put Chao on this. It'll be redundant. So we just want it to say sapphire, and then the grades underneath. So there isn't like room to write out every individual like category, but there is room to just write the grades. So I think that's what I'll do there. We want to adjust the line spacing, and I wanted it to be yellow font. Somehow that still is hard to read. I do want to make the font size like on the smaller side so that for the Chao that have longer types, I'll be able to fit them all. We could do Comic Sans, or we could do the font that's used in like the menus. Vipnagorgiala is the name of the font that it uses in the menus, but do I have that? I don't see it on here. I would have to download it. Perhaps we are stuck with Comic Sans. Now we have to get to the bottom of what exactly type of Chao Atticus is. Chao Island. To the gallery. So it's a shiny two-tone, and it's dark. Looks like brown. Brown power run, maybe? Or yellow. It's hard to tell. We could look at his lineage to try to narrow it down. Yellow would make sense. So would orange. Definitely not green. We can rule out green. Let's look back through his lineage. It would make sense to be brown. We don't have any brown Chao. So coming up through this family tree, Atticus's parents on this side are all purple and red because it goes Vega and Apple to Sonata, Minnie, and Ursa. And then on this side, it's Vega, who's the offspring of Gigas and Virgo. And if you follow Virgos all the way up to Azura and Coco, those are both blue. And the only yellow tone at all on this side of the family tree, Monster, who's Gigas's parent. It has to be yellow, I believe. So we'll say these are Atticus's grades, and then it would be shiny two-tone yellow. Oh no, this doesn't fit still. I might have to adjust these bubbles. Well, that doesn't look amazing. It'll just have to do for a lot of these. So let's figure out what the heck Bright is. So Bright's grandparents are Kiaf and Elliot, which is a shiny pink monotone with a normal two-tone, who had the shiny two-tone pink, who bred with a jewel Chao. So this should be jewel tone, pink, or normal. So let's take a look at Chao Island and figure out which one it is. Well, we can rule out pink because that's a mint Chao. So it has to be a shiny jewel regular. So I've already started doing this without even really thinking about it. I've been labeling the two tones as two tones, but the monotones I have just been putting as their color without labeling the monotone. For example, Bubbles is just yellow as opposed to writing yellow monotone. Azura is just shiny sky blue as opposed to shiny sky blue monotone. I think it just keeps it like from crazy getting long like the two-tone shinies are. So now Celeste could be... What the heck is Celeste? Parents are Brendan and Yo-Yo? No, Brendan and Virgo. So there is shiny in her lineage. Okay, I'm having trouble reading my own chart. That doesn't bode well. Brendan and Virgo, which would make her likely to be a shiny sky blue again. So let's look at Chao Island. So these are the shiny jewel Chao. She looks like maybe a shiny jewel brown. Yeah, the brown is the best possible match, but there's no brown in her lineage. She's definitely got shiny jewel parents, but perhaps it could be like shiny two-tone regular. She definitely looks kind of more purple than pink though. But it could be regular because Coco is in her. Wait, Coco isn't regular. Coco might be regular. So it's possible that it's like recessive, regular, shiny, both from Virgo's side of the family, and she didn't get any jewel properties at all. If we could narrow down what Coco is, that would help. So let's look at two-tone. No, Coco has to be two-tone blue or something, or monotone blue. I'm so confused. What the heck is Coco? We might need to use the 3D viewer to narrow this down because it's definitely a second evolution. Yeah, this is definitely what Coco is. So Coco is normal. It's indistinguishable! There's no white in her lineage, so I think that she has to be shiny two-tone regular. I just can't figure out what she would be otherwise. So we'll put shiny two-tone regular because I don't know what else she could possibly be. But she would have to be a two-tone jewel, right? Because her kid is a ghost. Yeah, I think she's shiny jewel regular. That's the only thing that makes sense. She's just like bright. Citrus was once again the one that unlocked everything for my gardens, so Citrus's stats were extremely mediocre. That's all you need to get everything that there is to get. You do not have to have one S. You can do it all without an S. I think I gave this one a French name because Ciel is French, so it was supposed to be like a play on its parents, but Matcha just comes from nowhere, so I don't know. Dunmer is technically shiny black. That's interesting. I thought it was gray, because gray does exist. There's black and there's gray non-shinies, but this is considered shiny black. Now, the thing about Chaos Chao is they cannot breed, so they cannot pass their stats down. Once they've reached Chaos Chao, they're never going to create another offspring, and they also can never improve their letter grades ever again. If you're really optimizing your Chao, you probably don't want to create a mostly C grade Chaos Chao. But for me, if they have lived long enough to reincarnate twice, then they are done. Unless they would make really boring Chaos Chao, like some of my shiny two-tones would. I did not realize that Ghost is also one letter grade from becoming an all-S Chao, which is cool. I didn't even notice. That makes sense then that I would breed him to try and get 2 all-S Chao. So I must have known this at some point and then just forgotten it. So I think I've said a billion times that I got Soul and Heart from the Tiny Chao Garden, but I know that that's not true. If you play SADX for the GameCube, I think it gives you a gold and silver Chao egg. I don't remember if you have to do something to unlock them or not, but that's what these two are. They're not from the Tiny Chao Garden, they're from SADX. It's interesting that there's different colored shiny jewel Chao that have those different effects. The jewel tone itself is kind of irrelevant. Like, there are different jewel tones, but they all produce the same jewel effect when passing it down. Like, you won't get different Chao for breeding an emerald with a shiny pink than you would with a sapphire with a shiny pink. It's the same genetic output. So that's why I have 2 Chaos Jewel Tone Chao with no offspring, because it was not necessary to breed them. you can breed jewel tone from any of my jewel tone Chao into any line. I think that Matcha is a shiny jewel regular. That would make the most sense based on who its parents are, but it's really hard to tell because it's a dark child Chao. So I would have to kind of wait and see for it to evolve, I think, to get a better idea of what it is. Okay, Mercury also has to be shiny two-tone yellow. I don't know. They don't look the same to me. I wonder if Atticus is shiny two-tone orange, because if I look at Atticus's parents, they're Apple and Sonata, but then you come up here and it's Minnie and Tang are the parents of Apple and Sonata, and Tang is orange, not yellow. So I think it's shiny two-tone orange. I want to double check though. I'm going to change this because I don't think this is right. This guy is shiny two-tone orange. It makes more sense to me because it doesn't look like Mercury, who is definitely shiny two-tone yellow. Yeah, so this is Mercury, shiny two-tone yellow. This is Atticus, shiny two-tone orange. Different. Yikes! There's a spider on my desk! I thought I felt a bug! It's like running all over my keyboard. Would it be overkill to go get the vacuum cleaner? Jazz! There's a spider in my room! Okay, go put her outside where she can survive. Thank you. I hope I don't find any more spiders. That was a fiasco. Where was I? What was I doing? Till I saw you on my keyboard. Saw you on my sleeve. I didn't mean to scare you. You just seem really nice. I didn't realize how many two-tone regular I had. This is a lot of two-tone regulars. Just a lot of memory cards that come with two each at least. And then I think when you unlock the gardens, each garden comes with another two-tone regular egg. So you just end up drowning in two-tone regulars. Not to mention all the other countless memory cards that I have started and deleted over the years that have all come with their own two tones, and the ones that I got from the tiny Chao Garden. Endless two-tone regulars, but I like two-tone. What can I say? So I like to breed it down. Okay, so Pebbles, I think, is two-tone black. Shiny two-tone black. It would make the most sense to me, since there's shiny jewel black and shiny black in the lineage. And it's definitely not shiny yellow. So let's double check Chao Island. Again, it's a little hard to tell because it's a child Chao. Yeah, I think it's shiny two-tone black. Shiny two-tone gray and white are basically indistinguishable. At some point, I deleted Atticus's stupid label, so I have to do it again. Ugh. Oy. This is the longest possible name for what this Chao is. Gonna have to really expand this box. Okay, that is all the Chao whose stats I know. So we'll just fill in the rest with their guessed phenotype and guess, or I'm not even gonna guess their stats if I don't know them. I'm just gonna write that I don't know them. Seems simple that way. Okay, that is actually everything filled in. You have to look at it with a magnifying glass to read everything. Or zoom in. I think I'm going to make a key for reading this. Okay, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to open up, it's probably on Chao Island. This is probably the easiest way to check. And we go back to the Hill Center. We check a screenshot of the grades. So it's swim, fly, run, power, stamina. Back in Photoshop, 1 equals swim, 2 equals, I've already forgotten what it was. Run equals swim, okay, sorry. 1 equals swim, 2 equals fly, 3 equals run, 4 equals power, and 5 equals stamina. So swim, fly, run, power, stamina. Okay, I need to adjust the spacing here because this is all wrong. That's better. And then should we have it like this? Yeah, I think that's a little easier to read. I can make it also quite a bit bigger and then adjust the spacing again. So my thought is, you see under each of these names, there's C, B, A, B, A, D, C, 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 B. You look down here, you know how to read it. The top description is the phenotype, and then 1C, swim, Virgo has a C in swim. 2, B, fly, Virgo has a B in fly. A, run, power, B, A, stamina, etc. So I'm actually going to move this whole key down because it's in kind of an awkward place. I'll put it in the bottom corner. Oh, that's a little better. Still kind of awkward where it is, but now our family tree is updated for all time. So we can look through the lineage of our Chao and see how we got our S-rank Chao. So starting with Elliot, really this didn't take very many generations. I don't know what PF's stats were, unfortunately. She's in this lineage, but because she's such an old Chao I don't have anymore, I have no idea what her stats were. Elliot is a Chaos Chao now, it looks like most likely he was made into a normal fly twice, because it looks like none of the Chao that you get that come with a garden have stats above C or D. So if he has a B, then he was probably either a fly twice or he was a D in some other stat that was raised to a C. Now, their offspring, Gemini, already has an S and an A. Whatever PF's stats were, I'm sure they were where she got her good genes. Probably PF also had a good grade in fly, because that is what got passed down. Now, I know that Gemini was a fly Chao once, but I think they were power once. Let me check. Yeah, 4 is power. So they were fly once and power once. So she was born with an A in fly and a B in power. So from there, Gemini and Ghost. Ghost has an S in almost everything except for fly. I think it must have been an A in run, which is how he has an S in run now, but no fly. Maybe he had a B in run and I saw the S within reach, and that's why he might have been a run twice. I don't remember him ever being anything else. And then from there, as you can see, it passed down all the S's except for the A in stamina. But we need to go back to the other half of the parentage. It gets more complicated because this side of the family doesn't all start from dead ends like the other side. So starting from Azura and Coco. Azura was a store-bought black market shiny sky blue egg with pretty good stats. She's fly once, so she maybe had a C in fly, BB. And then Coco came with a Chao Garden type egg. Coco probably had, it's hard to say what Coco had because these stats are better than most came with a Chao Garden type eggs. Like, there's a bunch of Ds, but possibly Coco is on their third life because there's a stat that's an A and a stat that's a B. So perhaps they started with a C in run and stamina. Or maybe they just got lucky and got a B in stamina, because I'm not sure Coco has ever been anything but a run Chao. I think maybe they started with a C in run and now they have an A after reincarnating twice. So those two are the parents of Virgo. Virgo inherited middle of the road swim, really her mom's fly, her dad's run, her mom's power, and together those two stats became an A. So then Virgo had Vega. I suppose I can also start over here. Also related to Elliot. On this side of the family. Kind of gross. But we have Bubbles and Elliot. Bubbles has B, D, A, C, B. And then they had Monster, the two-tone yellow Chao, who was a swim Chao twice, I think. So she inherited her mom's stamina, her dad's and mom's power, her dad's run. This is really bad. So perhaps she was born before... Was Bubbles ever a fly Chao? Yeah, maybe Bubbles is a fly Chao at some point. That would make sense because I gave her Phoenix stuff, I remember. So she was probably a fly Chao at some point. Yeah, that makes sense. She's been run and fly. Okay. And then Monster has an A, in swim, which she probably got from her mom. Like, I'm not entirely sure how it decides which stats improve. Then, Monster and Noir. Noir was a swim Chao at least once. I don't know how they got an S in stamina, unless we just got lucky and I bought him with the S already, because I don't think he's ever been a nun Chao. I don't think I've ever had a dark nun. I remember him always being swim. So I think he started with a C in swim and became swim twice. And then they had Gigas. Between the two A's in swim, got an S. He got his dad's D in fly and his B in run and his E in power. Hard to say where this C in stamina came from, actually, because this is worse than both of their stamina grades. So I don't know. But that's the other half of Vega's lineage. Vega got an A from Gigas, a B from Virgo, an A from Virgo, a B from Virgo, and an S improving on Virgo's stamina. And I do not know what Apple's stats are, unfortunately, so I can't check there. But then Apple and Vega had Scorpio, I believe was like when they hatched would have been A, B, A, B, S when they were born, which is actually identical to Vega's stats, so that makes sense. Because they were a fly Chao once and then a power Chao, and then they had with Jupiter, oh my god, now I have to go through Jupiter's lineage. So where did Jupiter come from? Sol and Cash. Sol has very mediocre stats. Cash's stats are unknown. Cash's parents are Gemini, Knight, it looks like. Since we don't know Cash's stats, it's honestly hard to say where any of these stats came from. We do know that Jupiter has an SCD just like Sol, and that the B in Stamina is pretty similar to Gemini's B, but they probably would have had a C in Stamina when they were born, so I don't think that that's actually helpful. Sol also would have had a B in Stamina when Jupiter was born, so that makes sense too. So Jupiter and Scorpio had ghosts who inherited the S in Swim from Jupiter, got really unlucky with that D, don't know where that came from, and got better grades in Run and Power than Scorpio. I think the Power grade must have come from Jupiter, who has an S in Power, and then they got Scorpio's S in Stamina. And then from Gemini, basically their great-great-grandfather, the missing S came from Gemini. So Gemini has the S in Fly, that Ghost is missing. And so that is how we got the all S except for this A. I think we just got unlucky with the A because they could have passed down another S, but everything else turned out so well here that it doesn't matter. Yes, there you go. That is how I got my all S Chao. When these two reincarnate, they will be raised as normal Chao again, and then they will be all S by the time they're Chaos Chao. So that is that. That brings this to a close. We have done it. This is the updated family tree where we can read all the stats and see where they all came from. I hope that was worth it. Should we do a little show and tell to wrap this up while I ask you all to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications? So some of you may cringe hearing this, but until I played Sonic, I had no idea that Sega ever made consoles. I started playing games in the late 90s, and my first system was an N64, and my dad got me a PlayStation later, like the smaller model, the PS1 model that was like on sale towards the end of the PlayStation's lifespan. So I had never heard of the Sega Saturn, and I had never heard of the Dreamcast either. So I got really into Sonic, as you can see, from this game. And obviously that meant learning everything about it and discovering that Sega made all of these consoles I had never heard of before. I actually went into a Fry's Electronics in like 2006 and asked them if I could buy a Sega Saturn. And the guy was like, what? So I did track down a Dreamcast after the fact because I had to play the original versions. So I have both Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast. They're harder for me to play on the Dreamcast. I don't like the Dreamcast controller as much as the GameCube controller. It doesn't feel as nice in my hands. Stay tuned. I've got more video essays coming up in the works. Hopefully the next one will be done by next month. Thanks for watching this insanely long Sonic video if you watched to the end. I don't often make non-Pokemon videos, but I love Chao, so it's been really fun to gush about Chao for 4 days. Yep,